Nigeria, a nation grappling with the weight of its own promise, finds itself entangled in the intricate web of godfatherism. This insidious system, deeply entrenched in the nation's political fabric, operates on a simple but potent principle. Power brokers, the so-called godfathers, exert undue influence over elected officials. They handpick candidates, finance campaigns, and demand unwavering loyalty. In return, they expect their puppets to dance to their tune, prioritizing personal gain over the welfare of the people. This corrupt bargain lies at the heart of Nigeria's political malaise. Godfatherism thrives on patronage, a network of favors and obligations that bind politicians to their benefactors. It undermines the very essence of democracy, eroding accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. The people's mandate becomes secondary to the whims of these powerful figures who operate with impunity, their actions veiled in secrecy. The consequences are dire. Corruption flourishes, development stagnates, and the voices of ordinary citizens are silenced. Nigeria's journey towards true democracy is hampered by this insidious system, which threatens to unravel the fragile fabric of the nation. This is not a uniquely Nigerian problem. Across Africa and other parts of the developing world, similar systems of patronage and clientelism have taken root, undermining democratic institutions and hindering progress. But Nigeria, with its vast oil wealth and its position as a regional powerhouse, has a unique responsibility to confront this challenge head-on. The future of democracy in Nigeria, and perhaps in the wider region, depends on it. Rivers State, the heart of Nigeria's oil-producing Niger Delta, stands as a stark reminder of the corrosive effects of godfatherism. This resource-rich state, blessed with abundant natural wealth, should be a beacon of prosperity and development. Instead, it has become a battleground for power-hungry politicians, a crucible where the flames of ambition and greed are constantly stoked. For decades, Rivers State has been caught in the grip of a small group of political godfathers, men who wield immense power and influence. They control the levers of government, dictating everything from contracts and appointments to the allocation of resources. Their grip on the state is so tight that elections have become mere formalities, a charade designed to legitimize their hold on power. The people of Rivers State have borne the brunt of this toxic system. Despite the state's vast oil wealth, poverty remains widespread. Infrastructure is crumbling, schools and hospitals are underfunded, and basic services are lacking. The youth, deprived of opportunities, are easily lured into militancy and crime, perpetuating a vicious cycle of violence and instability. Rivers State stands as a microcosm of Nigeria's larger struggle with godfatherism. It is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the urgent need for reform. The recent crisis in Rivers State, culminating in the declaration of a state of emergency, brought to the fore the bitter power struggle between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike. Wike, a formidable figure in Rivers State politics, had hand-picked Fubara as his successor, expecting him to be a pliant instrument of his will. However, Fubara, emboldened perhaps by the weight of his office, showed signs of independence, challenging Wike's authority. This clash of titans, a battle for supremacy in the murky waters of Rivers State politics, had devastating consequences for the state. Allegations of corruption, violence, and intimidation became commonplace. The state assembly, a symbol of democratic representation, lay in ruins, demolished on Fubara's orders, a stark reminder of the fragility of democratic institutions in the face of raw power. The power struggle between Fubara and Wike is not merely a personal feud, it is a reflection of the deep-seated divisions within the ruling party, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), and the fragility of Nigeria's democracy. It is a stark reminder that even in the 21st century, the specter of godfatherism continues to haunt Nigeria, undermining its democratic institutions and threatening its stability. As the crisis in Rivers State spiraled out of control, threatening the very fabric of the nation, the federal government felt compelled to intervene. President Bola Tinubu, facing mounting pressure to restore order, declared a state of emergency in the state, suspending Governor Fubara and appointing an interim administrator. This drastic measure, a clear indication of the gravity of the situation, sent shockwaves through the country. The declaration of a state of emergency is not a decision to be taken lightly. It represents a failure of the normal democratic processes, a recognition that the situation has deteriorated to such an extent that extraordinary measures are required. The suspension of a democratically elected governor, even one accused of wrongdoing, sets a dangerous precedent. The federal government's intervention in Rivers State is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it is necessary to restore order and prevent the situation from escalating further. On the other hand, it risks being seen as an overreach of power, an attempt by the center to impose its will on a restive region. Section 5. The Assembly in Ruins, a symbol of strife. The demolition of the Rivers State House of Assembly, on the orders of Governor Fubara, was a brazen act of authoritarianism. It was a symbolic attack on the very heart of democracy, a clear message that Fubara would brook no opposition to his rule. The Assembly building, once a place where laws were debated and passed, lay in ruins, a testament to the fragility of democratic institutions in the face of raw power. The demolition of the Assembly building was not just a physical act of destruction. It was an assault on the very principles of democracy, representation, accountability, and the rule of law. It sent a chilling message to the people of Rivers State. Their voices did not matter. Their elected representatives were irrelevant. The ruins of the Assembly building stand as a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy in Nigeria. They are a symbol of the challenges the country faces in its quest for good governance and the rule of law. The crisis in Rivers State sent shockwaves through the Nigerian economy. The state, home to a significant portion of Nigeria's oil and gas industry, saw production plummet as investors grew wary of the escalating violence and political instability. The Trans-Niger pipeline, a vital artery transporting crude oil to the export terminals, became a target for militants, further disrupting oil production and costing the country millions of dollars in lost revenue. The economic fallout of the crisis was felt far beyond the borders of Rivers State. Nigeria, already grappling with a myriad of economic challenges, saw its currency weaken and its credit rating downgraded. The crisis served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of political stability and economic prosperity. The security situation in Rivers State also deteriorated rapidly. Armed gangs, allegedly sponsored by politicians, roamed the streets, terrorizing residents and engaging in fierce gun battles with security forces. The violence claimed countless lives, displaced thousands, and created a climate of fear and impunity. The real tragedy of the Rivers State crisis is the erosion of trust it has engendered. The people, caught in the crossfire of a bitter power struggle, have lost faith in their leaders, in the political process, and in the very notion of democracy. They have become disillusioned and cynical, their hopes for a better future dashed against the rocks of corruption, violence, and impunity. The crisis has exposed the deep-seated divisions within Nigerian society, divisions that have been exploited by unscrupulous politicians for their own gain. It has also highlighted the failure of the country's institutions to uphold the rule of law and protect the rights of its citizens. The people of Rivers State, and indeed all Nigerians, deserve better. They deserve leaders who will put their interests above their own, who will work to build a just and equitable society. The crisis in Rivers State is not an isolated incident. It is but the latest chapter in the long and troubled history of the Niger Delta, a region that has witnessed decades of violence, environmental degradation, and political marginalization. The discovery of oil in the Niger Delta in the 1950s brought with it not prosperity, but a curse. The region's oil wealth, instead of being used to uplift the lives of its people, was siphoned off by a corrupt elite, leaving behind a legacy of poverty, pollution, and resentment. The people of the Niger Delta, their land and livelihoods devastated by the oil industry, rose up in protest, demanding a greater share of the oil wealth and an end to environmental degradation. Their demands were met with brute force. The Nigerian government, eager to protect its oil revenues, responded with military crackdowns, fueling a cycle of violence and repression. The crisis in Rivers State is a stark reminder that the underlying issues that have plagued the Niger Delta for decades remain unresolved. The region's history is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of resource curse and the urgent need for equitable development. The crisis in Rivers State is a microcosm of the larger challenges facing Nigeria. It is a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy in the face of godfatherism, corruption, and impunity. The events in Rivers State should serve as a wake-up call for all Nigerians, a call to action to reclaim their democracy from the grip of those who seek to exploit it for their own gain. Godfatherism is a cancer that is eating away at the very fabric of Nigerian society. It undermines the rule of law, erodes public trust, and stifles economic development. It is a threat not only to Nigeria's democracy, but to its very future. The federal government's intervention in Rivers State is a necessary first step in restoring order and stability. However, it is not enough. Addressing the root causes of the crisis requires a fundamental shift in Nigeria's political culture, a move away from the politics of patronage and towards a system based on accountability, transparency, and the rule of law. The fight against godfatherism is a fight for the soul of Nigeria. It is a fight that all Nigerians must engage in if they are to build a more just, equitable, and prosperous future for themselves and for generations to come.